could feel her mucus and saliva spreading down my legs, her rough and wet tongue sliding over my smooth skin.
Hi. I'm Rose and I have a story to tell. I became more withdrawn after that incident. I stopped even talking to Kate. I mostly sat at home and looked out the window. Every once in a while I'd go over to the new house where it had happened. And then one day, walking quite late, I stopped in front of the house. I stood looking into the darkness of the place, and suddenly I heard a familiar rustle behind me. I fumbled for a small folding knife in my pocket, turned sharply, and swung it without hesitation. What a surprise it was when I saw in front of me not what I expected. It turned out that I had long noticed our new neighbor and decided to come up and chat. How hospitable I am after all. The man is new, he knows no one, and I am at him with a knife. My blow landed in the shoulder area. I did not make a very deep wound. He did not even have time to recover from the surprise and stood there looking at me with horror. I woke up and started wailing and apologizing. Like self-defense and all that. He reacted strangely and frighteningly, smiling and invited me to go to him and over tea to discuss what had happened. I agreed, although it was a little uncomfortable to be on this earth again. We sat down in a cozy kitchen and began to drink tea. A conversation began immediately. I will say that the guy was a pleasant companion, and he looked even better. We chatted about this and that. And we had no idea that it was already getting close to midnight. Then he stood up abruptly and said, "How quickly time flies. I think I've had enough excitement for a first meeting. Come on, I'll walk you out." I told him I didn't have to worry. I lived close by. Nevertheless, he went to see me off. I fell asleep very quickly, but I had a disturbing dream. I dreamt of Vicky. She and I were walking like before. Except that for some reason we were going to this very new house. In the kitchen, where I had recently had tea with Sam, that was the name of my new acquaintance. She was silent throughout the entire dream. Only at the end she whispered one word, "Here." I woke up in a terrible mood. All morning I tormented myself with questions. What is here? Who is here? Why was she here? Why did I dream about her? What does it all mean? I decided to go to the river so I wouldn't be tormented by all these thoughts. That's where I met Sam. We spent the whole day sunbathing and swimming, and in the evening we went to his place. We sat and chatted. Suddenly I heard a distinct whisper from Vicky. She was whispering again, "Here." I thought it was all my imagination. But when I saw the terror in Sam's eyes, I knew it was real. We walked quickly outside and away from the house. I told him my horror story. I heard Sam's strange story in response. He said that since he'd moved here, he'd been hearing rustling and cawing at night, like an animal was eating all the time. I offered to let him stay at my place. He agreed. The next day we went to examine his house. Finding nothing, we decided to look around the property. In the farthest corner of it we found a fresh mound. When Sam dug the hole, he found bones. We were horrified, not knowing whose they were or how the ships got there. After burying them back in, we went inside. Then we went home. For a week or more I didn't see Sasha, or rather I didn't communicate with him. He ran past me quickly, didn't even say hello. In the evenings, when I walked past his house, his curtains were drawn and only a small floor lamp was on in his huge house. And a few days ago I couldn't sleep, so I sat by the window and looked outside and drank warm milk. There was a terrible thunderstorm outside, and in the light of the lightning I saw Sam. He came out of the house with a bag of some kind and went to the backyard, to where we'd found the bones. I saw him digging a hole and burying the bag in it. I don't know why or what he was doing that. I was frightened and didn't understand what was going on. But I didn't dare ask him. That was my mistake. Having decided to get away from all the problems, I went to the village harvest festival. As I walked between the rows of fruits and vegetables, I noticed Sam. He stared sullenly at the ground, walking behind all the pavilions. I followed him. It wasn't until I got past the pavilions that I lost sight of him. And after a couple of minutes, I felt a great pain in the back of my head and fell down without feeling. I woke up in some dirty and smelly basement. It was illuminated by the dim light of a lamp. I wasn't tied up, but my movements were restricted because my head was pounding. As I looked around, I saw a wet line on the floor. When I crawled to it and took a closer look, I was horrified. It was the same slime that had come from that thing. I started shaking my head in fright, but there was nothing and no one there. After calming down a bit, I began to think how I could get out while I was here alone. I saw a door at the top, and standing up I tried to reach it. And then I heard the same sound, one I would always recognize. Hysterically, I jumped and tried to claw my way to the door handle. The rustling and heavy breathing was getting closer. It was close. I couldn't see where it was, though I turned around. That's when that horrible, disgusting clucking started. I couldn't reach the door. I knew by the minute it was going to get me. Suddenly, it stopped. It wasn't that it was gone, it was just gone. There was only silence. At that moment the door opened, and Sam appeared in the doorway with an axe in his hand. He was scared of something, and immediately I had a bad thought. I wondered what he was doing here. LG said he was looking for me. "Give me your hand. I'll get you out," he said, and held out his hand toward me. I was in no hurry to make a gesture in return. But then I was engulfed by such a growing and uncontrollable terror and panic. I couldn't move or say anything, for I felt someone licking my legs with such pleasure and appetite. It was definitely that creature. I could feel its mucus and saliva spreading down my legs, its rough and wet tongue sliding over my smooth skin, feel its hot breath. It encircled my legs. And with a sharp jerk, it pulled me, and I fell with a squeal. It didn't drag me away. It just dropped me to the ground, I think, to make it comfortable to eat. I was so glad that at that moment Sam hadn't lost his nerve, and jumped down to me and threw a few punches at the creature. It let out an inhuman scream, or more likely a shriek, and disappeared into the darkness. Sam helped me up. I looked around and saw the small claw marks on my legs, and strangely, I didn't even feel it scratching me. I was probably too scared. Now there was a bigger problem: how we were going to get out of here. There was no way we were going to make it to the ledge or the door. Sam tried to find an alternate exit, or cut through it with an axe. But all attempts were in vain. When it dawned, we started calling for help. Good thing someone heard us. We got out. We stayed alive. But the only worry is where and for how long the creature got away.
If you liked the story, please subscribe and like. Till tomorrow.